Welcome to the stream. My name is Wi-Fi Gospel. Real name Alexander Medeiros. And I'm debating atheists. If you're seeing this not live, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Come back when I am live, or just watch this video out. If you think that you can have knowledge as an atheist, join up. Join.wifigospel.com or come over to TikTok, request up as a guest. Yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go live on TikTok, you heard? We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Ramon, what's going on? How's my sound? My sound good? We chilling? Cooking with a beta. What you cooking? I love to smoke briskets and pulled pork. Delicioso. What's up? What's up? Ding. All right, let's see here. Mark Garlitz, what's going on, man? How you doing tonight? Hope everybody's doing good. I'm just pulling up my other chats. I have two YouTube streams, a vertical and a horizontal going right now. And I also have TikTok going, so I'm just pulling up all the different chats here. Hold on. He is risen. What's going on? How are you? Jay Goldie. Appreciate y'all being here. Hit that like button for me if you don't mind. Let's get some likes in here going. What's up? What's up? Bubbles, how are you? Axel is king. How you doing over on YouTube? If you are an atheist and you want to join, you can do so over on TikTok, or if I can figure this out real quick, you can do join.wifigospel.com. Start collab cam. Cool. I like. Thank you, Axel. Preach. Tag again? Really? Tag again? Really? Tell your favorite atheist to come through. Why can't I find my live stream, guys? There it is. Such a tired and weak argument. Why not make your own? Instead of just copying it. Well, if you think any argument is original, my friend, I think you would be wrong. And it's not even an old argument. Oh, Bubbles. I'll check the video out. I got you. All right. Dun, 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 dun. I think we have all the chats up now. Q. Oh, who's calling me? Wifey's calling me. Hold on. Hey. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'm on stream. All good. Love you, bye. She goes, thank you for the follow. She goes, check out the video I just sent you. I literally just saw her 2 seconds ago. I said, hey, babe, I'm going live. She said, oh, okay. My bad. Pablo, Saved by Grace, Chewy Roars. What's going on, guys? My TikTok streams have been slack-a-lacking lately. Not that many people in them, you know? It's all good, though. All good. We're going to fix that, right, guys? We're going to get some likes up in here, some shares. I would appreciate that. Get some guests. All right, let's do a sound check. 1 2 1 2. All right, let's do a sound check. 1 2 1 2. Mic's a little hot, but it was pretty low last night, so I had to switch it up. You feel me? All right. Make sure you like the live. Send out some shares. I would appreciate it. We could get some guests in here, get the conversation started. If you're an atheist and you think you can have knowledge, show me how, please. Come show your boy a little thing or two. We had some good conversations Tuesday night. That was fun. Hopefully we can get a couple more conversations in tonight. You can join 2 ways if you're on YouTube. Oh, M5. Boom. Oh, what the heck?
Yeah, hello.
Hey, M5, how are you?
Good. Do you want to go over the knowledge part first or the morality part first?
Probably knowledge.
Okay. I could just say, x times 1 equals x. That's just going to be analytically the case under any like mathematical axiom. And it doesn't appear I need like, I'm like an atheist. I can just like grant this to be the case and it's still like knowledge.
You can just grant it to be the case?
I don't have to just grant it. Like I am granting it because it's just true.
Come on, you know that doesn't work.
You don't think x times 1 equals x is true?
No, just granting something and saying it's true.
That's not like the point of that. I was just like saying that.
You were just saying it?
Yeah, you're like focusing on the wrong part here.
Okay, no worries. Hold on. Sorry, I'm tired. So would you say that in order to know that that's true, you need to be using your reasoning faculties?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, and how do you know your reasoning faculties are reliable?
If it's the case, I made the definition, then I'm gonna have like a pretty good certainty of the definition.
If it's the case?
Yeah, because I think it is the case.
ALC, what's going on? Jimmy, there is a link, join.wifigospel.com. How do you know it's the case?
Because I uttered it. I can just say x times 1 equals x is true because I can just make these definitions.
Okay. God is real.
Okay. So like,
So
so
you're no
what?
longer an atheist?
I would just need like a justification for that. I mean, do you think
Well,
he has any like
I asked
ontological?
you I asked you for a justification and you gave me I could just utter it. So God is real
No,
just
no,
because I
no.
uttered it.
No, the justification is that it's analytically true. It's true
Okay.
by
And
definition.
how do you know it's analytically true? You said you'd have to use your reasoning
Because
to know that, right?
because we form the definitions of like any axioms in math.
Okay. So do you not need to use your reasoning in order to know that?
No, I think we do.
Okay. So then my next question was how do you know your reasoning faculties are reliable?
Under this context, I already like told you. I
Okay,
made the
so
definition.
I made the
So,
definition of God. God is
like,
real.
what's your definition of God?
We could take the Westminster definition, but just the biblical
Which is,
definition would fine. It's a long one. Let me pull it up.
would you just agree it's some like necessary being with like omni properties in a mind? Is that fair?
That's a bare minimum definition I could agree to.
Okay.
Um, but hold on, I don't need to justify it.
If you're
I
saying
uttered
something
it.
where it's like analytically true, then just like maybe tell me how.
I don't need to.
Wait, listen, I didn't say me uttering it is what makes it true. I said me
Okay.
forming the definitions gives me a pretty good certainty that my rational abilities are working.
So me forming the definition of God gives me pretty good certainty that he exists. I'm just, and these aren't my
You're just,
arguments. I'm just trying to mirror what you're saying because I don't think what you're saying works, and I'm just trying to show you that. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to be I'm
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
trying to be rude here.
What the issues here is just like you're giving some definition of God. I'm just giving some definition, or I have multiple definitions that just cohere with each other, which makes it true.
Yes, but I'm saying the justification of your reasoning faculties because you need your reasoning faculties to do all of that.
Yeah, well, I just said in this instance, I mean, if we want to prove something like the moon exists or grass is green, I would agree we should use other criteria, not criteria like yeah, it's like definitionally true. I made the definition of grass.
Right. But you still would need to use your reasoning faculties, and when I ask you to justify them, you just kind of say, "Well, they are reliable
Um,
because they are."
well, I would just say even in this instance, it's not contingent on your rational ability. Some like utter moron could just write out some sentence like x times 1 equals x, and it would still be true.
Yes, but how do you know it's true? You need to use your reasoning. And
It's
then I ask you to
analytically true.
justify the reasoning, and you say you don't need to.
No, I said the justification is that we made the terms, and
Okay.
these terms cohere with each other, so it's true.
Yeah, I don't think that gets you there, but let me grant that to you, right? Does it make it certainly true?
Uh, yeah, I would probably just grant like 100% certainty if we made the definition.
Okay. How? There are absolutely no possible defeaters for that?
No.
Okay. Could you be a brain in a vat?
Yeah, yeah, I could be, but that wouldn't defeat the sentence being true.
That wouldn't. Why not?
Because me being like my physical existence has no contingency upon these like mathematical axioms.
Right, but this could be just all a big dream, or you could be a brain in a vat, and the real reality, the one that your brain in a vat exists in, could be completely different than what you think reality is here.
Well, I guess just to be clear, I agree math doesn't even have any ontological bearing at all. I still think it's true though. So even if it was the case, I was some like brain in a vat or I was dreaming. If I'm uttering or thinking any statement, this statement specifically, it's just true no matter of what my existence is.
Right, but you're saying it's true as in like it matches reality, but the
No, no,
reality.
no, no. I'm using a different truth theory here.
Okay,
For this one,
what's
I'm just
the
saying
theory?
it would just be I don't really know how to explain it that well, but it just has to like cohere to some set of axioms or just like analytically true.
Wait, so you don't have a definition for truth or a theory of truth?
I just gave you it.
Can you repeat it? Sorry, I'm just typing. Let me type this link because somebody else wants to join.
You go. It just if it coheres to some set of axioms, or if it's just like analytically true, like a bachelor not being married is just like analytically true. That's just part of the definition of being a bachelor. Even if I do agree, like bachelors
That's
don't even exist.
that's not a theory of truth though. You use the word in the definition in the theory.
If you look up coherence theory, it is.
Well, coherence theory is truth is that which is real.
No, that's correspondence theory.
Oh, my bad.
You're good. I mean, if I might be butchering the definition, but I would just say if something's analytically true, then that's also like a fine criteria of deducing if it's true or not.
Okay, so
Like,
if I grant you that your reasoning faculties are reliable, then it would be true. But I don't grant that to you.
no, I don't think those things are contingent. I mean, to confirm it's true, I don't know, not even. I mean, you just have some like you'd have to have some like have some ability to like understand the definition or like say the definition for these like symbols and terms actually like come to tuition.
All right, let's back it up a little bit here. So, if something is analytically true, and you need to use your reasoning faculties in order to know that it is analytically true, I asked you for your justification of why you think your reasoning faculties are reliable. Could you repeat it one more time for me?
Yeah, just in like this context specifically, I'm making the definition, which gives me a pretty good certainty, and that's like relatively it.
Okay. So, you making the definition makes your reasoning faculties reliable?
I don't
Or
think.
you're just
Wait,
assuming that they are?
well, I don't think they need to be reliable under this like context.
Why not? Because you did say that earlier.
Oh yeah, my fault. Like I said before, I could be some like brain dead slug, but if I'm still saying x times 1 equals x, that's like a true statement no matter what.
But if your reasoning faculties were completely unreliable, you wouldn't be able to know that. It could be ontologically true, but you wouldn't be able to know that.
If it's the case, the definitions do align, then it would still be true.
Yeah, you keep saying if it's the case, but I'm not granting that.
Well, I think it is the case since
Okay, and how do you know it's the case?
because I made the definitions for like 1 and then for times and then for
right,
etc.
But you making definitions doesn't make something true.
No, I said it being like analytically true, like all these things cohere with each other, and it's just some like axiom in math. That's what makes it true.
Well, axioms are also unproven, right?
No, they're self-evident. That's like
but self-evident doesn't mean anything.
It just means it's. I mean, if you agree it's an axiom, you agree it's true.
Right.
So
I don't grant that to you.
So you don't think x times 1 equals x is an axiom in math?
Well, it could be, but if you don't know it is, then I don't grant it to you.
I definitely do know it is.
So you can't. So you can justify your axioms then.
Well, technically, you don't have like a burden to justify axioms.
Well, then I can just make any axiom I want, right?
If it's an axiom, yeah.
Okay, so God is the necessary precondition for knowledge. That's my axiom.
Okay, and how do we know this is an axiom?
I don't need to. I know I have no burden of proving it.
Well, yeah, you don't have any burden to prove it's a proposition or like the proposition. But I would just say you need to like show it's an axiom. I think.
Well, I need you to show me that your axiom of your reasoning faculties being reliable is an axiom.
I didn't say that was axiomatic.
Okay, but you are assuming it, right?
I mean, relatively, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, can you give some example of like irrational, like what cognitive functions are you like specifically referencing?
I mean, just the ability to reason. Let me see if I can get a better definition for us.
Not to be too pedantic, but what do you mean by ability to reason? Because that also might be like self-evident.
Yeah, maybe this the mental ability to think, understand, and make logical judgments. Intellect, intelligence, mental power, understanding, cognition.
I'm pretty sure I'm doing those. Pretty
What's
positive.
that?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive I'm doing a decent amount of those.
Right. So, how do you know your reasoning faculties are reliable? How do you know that you reason reliably? Because you would agree that people reason badly all the time.
Wait, hold on. When you say are your reasoning or is your reasoning reliable? Are you just referencing is my justification true, or do you actually just
Well,
mean are my cognitive functions like working?
like, how do you know that your reasoning gives you true beliefs about the world?
Oh, wait, so you are just asking for a justification.
Sure.
Oh, well, it's just analytically true. That was the justification.
Well, all right, but in order to know it's analytically true, your reasoning must be reliable.
Where you're just asking for now you're just asking for like a justification for the justification.
No. The justification you gave was assuming that your reasoning faculties were reliable.
Yeah, but when you said, how do we like you just agreed that's just the same as asking for a justification.
Yes. But if I said that if you asked a justification for my belief in God, and I say, well, I just believe it, then you say, well, can you justify it? And I say, well, now you're asking a justification about my justification. That's what I feel like you're doing here.
Well, when I just asked you, when we just say, how do you know your rational, etc., is the case or is reliable? We're just asking, how do you know your reasoning there is actually leading to the conclusion that you want to favor?
No,
So
that your reasoning is actually reliable enough to
yeah,
do so in the first place.
no, yeah, and then you just agreed that's the same as asking for a justification, which is just some like sound argument that leads to the conclusion, like God exists or math is true.
All right,
And if
so
I
maybe I'm misunderstanding you. What is the justification for your reasoning faculties being reliable?
well, you're just asking what's the justification for the justification. That's all you're asking there.
No, you say that your reasoning faculties are reliable, right?
Hold on, I think we might need to like
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe
maybe we're talking
we
past
made
each
it
other. Go
sound
ahead.
weird. Yeah, so just correct me if I'm wrong. When we just ask like if I say God exists and then somebody says, okay, well, how do you know? What was it you said rational what?
Reasoning faculties?
Oh yeah, you said how do you know your reasoning faculties are going to be reliable there? It's the same as just saying how do you know your reasoning is actually true and then it leads to the conclusion God exists. So if you ask me what's the justification for like any axiom in math and I say it's analytically true, that is me just showing it's a justification, which is
Okay.
also me just showing that my reasoning is reliable.
Yeah, so I'm not asking for the reason. I'm asking about your reasoning faculties. So like the reason you believe that that statement is true is because you said it's analytically true. That's the reason. But your reasoning faculties are what you used to come up with that reason.
I mean, I don't know how to like word it. I use my critical thinking skills or any thinking skills.
Yeah.
I have ideas. I form this definition, which coheres to other definitions, which just leads to the conclusion that this axiom is true.
So those critical thinking skills that you mentioned, they're somewhere in your brain, I'm assuming is what you believe, right?
Yeah, I think mental states are equal to like physical states.
Right. And so those mental states, the reasoning that's literally like moving inside your brain. I'm sure a neuroscientist could watch this, just laugh at the way I'm explaining this.
Yeah.
But the parts of your brain that are doing this reasoning, that's what I'm talking about with reasoning faculties. How do you know they're reliable?
It, well, I think all this is just like prima facie justified. It just, like all this stuff still like it lines up that it's true, even if like I don't know, I'm getting there in a poor way with my reasoning capabilities.
So it's accepted as correct until proved otherwise?
Well, that's gonna
That's
be
just the
like some
definition I
arguments
looked up
against.
of prima facie, that's all.
Oh no, prima facie just means it like appears evident on like first look. Like if I look up at the sky is blue. That's like prima facie justified. I don't have to give you any more like reasoning there, unless
So
there's some like counter argument that shows otherwise.
yeah, I mean, I just don't think that saying something is self-evident makes it true. Because for me,
Well,
God is self-evident. I look at creation, I look all around me, and to be fair, if we were taking a poll, most of the world would agree with me. I don't think that's good justification, which is
no.
why I don't think self-evidence is makes something true.
Well, I would agree. I'm like a little ignorant on how to like explain like axioms, but that's like definitely not a or it's not like self-evident via that justification.
According to
I can
you, right?
no,
Because
no, no,
self-evident means, like you said, you look up at the sky, you see blue.
no. That wait, that's prima facie justified. That's not like self-evident. They're different.
But I'm pretty sure you just explain prima facie the same way. Pretty sure
No, it
you
just says
used self-evident there, but I could be wrong.
it just says that like something appears to be true on first glance, like the sky being blue.
Edward, thank you for the lightning bolt. Appreciate it. Um. Oh, that wasn't for me. That was for you. You got the lightning bolt.
Oh
I'm not.
my!
I'm not good with TikTok gifts. I don't know where they go, where they come from.
Do I get
Um.
anything with this gift? Can I do anything with it?
You can cash it out for a couple cents and send somebody else a gift.
Oh, astonishing.
um. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at this conversation, but I don't think you've provided a justification for your reasoning faculties.
I mean, maybe if you were to give some example, how do you think somebody would go about doing it?
Well, I don't think you can.
Do you think a theist could?
I don't. No, I don't think our reasoning faculties give us knowledge.
I don't.
I
I think
think
what
that God. I think the
yeah,
only
go
way
ahead.
for us to have knowledge is through divine revelation. I think that our reasoning, we have, under the Christian worldview, we have good reason to believe our reasoning faculties and our senses are reliable, but I don't think they can give us knowledge.
Do you think it's the case I can have knowledge without rational thinking skills or anything like that?
Only because the Christian worldview is true. So, like,
Well, I
I
would
would
say if
agree
it
that you
isn't
know
true.
things. Go ahead.
I'm just saying if it isn't true, do you think it's possible?
No, that's the argument.
Okay, so if I just had some really dumb person, you can't like justify it at all. But like, I don't know, I just literally tell them any statement that's true. Do you think that'd be knowledge or no? Or you're just claiming like I
On
can't claim anything to be true without God?
Yeah, if we use justified true belief, I don't think you can have anybody can have knowledge without God because knowledge must be certain. And in my definition of knowledge, what I mean by saying knowledge must be certain is that there must be no possible defeaters for a knowledge claim. And I don't think you can do that unless you have all knowledge or have revelation from someone who does.
Do you think it could be the case? This is gonna be really pedantic, but you think it could just be the case that whoever's giving you said information is not being truthful, and if it's the case they say they are being truthful, they're not gonna be truthful about that either.
Right. So it could be the case, but if it is the case, then nobody has knowledge, which is a logical contradiction.
Wait, what's the contradiction?
So saying knowledge is not possible is a logical contradiction because you're making the claim that you know that knowledge is not possible.
Well, I could just pose some world where we could have knowledge without God, and then you would just say we need God via, and it's going to be confirmed via some like revolution. Or it could just be the case that he's like lying to you.
Yeah, but even you posing this world would require knowledge.
Um, uh, I mean, I'm not like a modal realist at all, but maybe.
Modal realist. Could you explain that to me?
Just saying that like possible worlds do exist. Like there's some possible world where you're like a girl. And
Gotcha.
people might say there's that like that world actually does exist like physically.
Mm.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I would ask the annoying precept question of how do you know that, but we don't have to go there.
Yeah.
Here let's go a different route because I think we've exhausted that topic, and I appreciate you being super respectful. I hate when
Of
people get
course.
up here and just fast talk and in if I don't know a definition of a word, instead of trying to help me understand, they just laugh at me. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
this
that.
argument's pretty corny.
um. So you believe that mental states? Could you repeat that for me? Something about mental states? Would you say?
Mental states are just equal to brain states.
Right. So if that's the case, are you a determinist?
No.
Why not?
I also think it's just like prima facie justified that I can just like make my own actions.
Okay, but you believe in physics, right?
Yeah.
Okay, do you believe in causal closure?
What is that?
Like that everything in the universe has a cause?
After T0, sure.
Right. So if that's the case, especially if mental states Say it one more time. I'm so bad with memory.
Yeah, it's fine. Just mental states are either equal. You can just say like physical states or brain states.
Okay. Um, so if it's the case that we're made up of the same, I think it's 25 elementary particles as everything else in the universe, and we all of our actions are uh, made under the laws of motion. So, like, we could theoretically, if we were playing pool and we knew absolutely every single variable of the break, I could tell you where each ball is going to land, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, if that's the case, why isn't it also the case that if I knew every single variable about you and your environment and your entire life, and I had a divine or magic calculator, that I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what you're going to eat for breakfast tomorrow?
You said you are or you aren't?
That I wouldn't be able to. That I would like. Why wouldn't I be able to do that?
I think you can know all the properties of me. I don't think that means you would know like any action I'm going to do next, unless I give you some like good reason that I would do the action.
Right, and I wouldn't be able to know it. But theoretically, if I had every single variable plus a divine calculator, in the same way of like, I don't even know if it's possible for us to calculate the break unless we had like, maybe Mythbusters could do that one day. That'd be cool.
Well, with the pool thing, if we do agree, I have like absolute knowledge about how it's gonna go. I can still just like choose some option of like, you know, I don't know what to call it, like playing pool or not playing pool, or chucking a stick across the room or like playing it cordially. It doesn't appear like these are restricting my actions.
Okay. This is part of my argument that I have to work on a lot, but I do a thought experiment with me here. If
Okay.
determinism is true, right, and that all of our actions are determined by previous states of the universe, do you think anyone would have moral responsibility?
Um, in some factual sense, no, you know.
Right. Yeah, and so that's it's like a two-legged argument in I don't the first leg is atheism entails determinism. But there's so many other options and I have arguments for some and others I'm just not familiar with. But then the second leg is what I just asked you. And a lot of atheists are determinists. Uh,
I don't
but
know why. I do agree that every action is going to be influenced by another action. Like, maybe I drink a lot of soda, so I have some dopamine rush to soda, so I want to drink more soda. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be most probable I'm going to drink some soda, but I still have like the action to choose not to drink it if I really want it, like wanted to.
yeah. And because it's tough because as a Christian, I do believe that we have free choice because I believe we have moral responsibility. And I think that's what the scriptures say. Um, but I do think that if determinism is true, we can't have moral responsibility because our actions don't come from our free choice. I don't know. I got to work on that one more. Um, I do appreciate you coming up though. I'm gonna drop you a follow. Everybody, drop M5 a follow. He's a wonderful guest. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know if I
quite
can do that
cordial.
right now. How'd you find the stream, if you don't mind me asking? Just scrolling.
Yeah, I just felt like debating people.
Cool. How long you been on TikTok for?
Since like musically.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
OG.
That is OG status.
Yeah.
There you are. Can
How
I
long have
follow
you
you
been
from
debating
here?
for?
Consistently this week. But I've probably done like 10 live streams over the last year.
Mm.
I'm just trying to be more consistent.
Do you watch people like Jay Dyer and Darth Dawkins and all them?
Boom. All right, I dropped you a file. I had to figure that out. Yeah, I watch Darth. I've watched Darth.
Oh,
I watched Jay. Um, I actually did a debate with Psy recently against Monkey Boy and
wait, I want
Cease
to
to
go watch
Know.
that. Where is that at?
It's on my YouTube channel at Wi-Fi Gospel.
I'll watch it like right now while I
M-
play the game.
Cool. What game you playing?
I know. Fortnite, but I
Nice,
don't.
dude.
I'm not gonna. I don't like Fortnite, but I do like Bed Wars in Fortnite. It's pretty fun.
Okay. Did you try the like the Valorant, not Valorant, like
Oh yeah, I like
Counter
that one.
Strike
I'm pretty good
version
at that.
one?
Yeah,
Ballistics, I think it's called.
yeah, Ballistic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. Um, I was like a C tier Fortnite celebrity at one point. Fun
Were you?
fact. I had 10K on Instagram. I played with the guys who won the duos contest in the World Cup.
Uh huh. Oh, that's pretty
Cease,
cool.
Cease, and Elevate. I knew Elevate because I randomly shouted him out on Instagram when he first got his account, and he liked that. So we played together. That was fun.
Yeah,
But
I'm not the biggest fan. I
good.
usually only play like the
Yeah,
game modes.
yeah, I feel you, dude. It kind of turned into like, remember Halo? How old? I don't know how old you are, but Halo
I'm
back in
7.
the day. Okay, don't say that too loud.
Okay.
um, he's 27. He said.
7.
So with Halo, they had a bunch of like it was mad fun because you could build your own map and you could do all this stuff, and then Fortnite came out with that. It was
Yeah.
cool. Yes, sir. Cool. Enjoy the game. Maybe we could play sometime. I'll add you on Discord or something.
My Discord just SMK V3.
SMK V3. Cool. I'll add you right now.
If you want to engage in any fruitful discourse, I do a lot of topics.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right.
I
See
will
ya.
do that. Later, man. Nice to meet you.
It's a
Bye. SVK V3. Was that it? Uh-oh. SPK? Uh-oh. If you're still here, add me at Wi-Fi Gospel. I forgot it. I told you guys I'm bad with memory. SMK. Smoke V3. Uh-oh. There it is. Cool. How did I forget that so quickly? Am I regarded? ALC. Y'all some game nerds. I haven't played a lot recently. When I was playing Fortnite, I played way too much. Facts. Let me get to these chats. That guest was great. Yeah. I love Jay Dyer. Without Islam Dies. I see you in like all the streams, bro. I see you everywhere. I appreciate the likes. They help push the stream. Thank you. Nobody joined on. Oh. I lied. Somebody did join. All right. Hey Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. You just move that. 1 second. I just pulled you up so you didn't leave. Wanted to respond to these comments real quick. This is a script about. So I did horrible in that debate. As soon as he was cornered, how do you know that? I'm supposed to do a review of it. I don't know. I don't have any time, and I've been trying to live stream consistently, but I don't think he did that bad at all. But I'll do a review at some point, and you guys can check that out. All right, Jimmy, are you an atheist?
Yes, I am.
Cool. Let me turn you up a little bit. How do I do that? Webcam's all the way up. Oh, I can turn you up like this.
Should I exit out of YouTube? Would that help?
I don't think so, unless you're hearing an echo of any kind.
No, I'm fine. I
Cool.
just want to make sure you can hear me okay.
Yeah, I just had to turn it up a little bit. My last stream, all the volume was down low, so I've just been conscious of that.
Okay.
Cool. And
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for hopping up here. You came from YouTube, right?
Yes, that's correct.
How'd you find the stream, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I follow debates all the time, and your show kind of came up, and I started following you. You know, the other night I was trying to get in, and I couldn't. It was a busy night, and that's fine. I understand you're getting popular. That's fine. I'm just happy to be here and try to try to bring you to the freeing world of atheism
To the
and
dark
all the.
side.
Oh, it is definitely not the dark side, my friend. It is definitely not the dark side. So, what would you like to discuss? Since this is your channel and I'm in your house, so.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I usually like to start off with, under atheism, humans have no knowledge, or knowledge is not possible.
You do realize that atheism is just an answer to one question, right? That you cannot put anything else on atheism. All atheism is not a belief in gods. That's it.
And
it's not a morality. It has nothing to do with philosophy. It has nothing to do with anything except for one question, and that's it.
Yeah, so I do love this conversation because even a lot of atheists have different opinions on this. So would you agree at least that you have a worldview?
I personally have a worldview. Yeah, we all have worldviews. You can't live in society without a worldview.
Right. Could we use atheistic as an adjective for that worldview?
No.
Why not?
No. Because it's just an answer to one question.
Okay.
Do you believe in a God? That's it.
Right. But would you?
That's it.
Would you say that a lot of atheists have some similar beliefs?
Nope. Nope.
So you wouldn't say like if you're an atheist, you most likely, more likely than not, also believe X. You wouldn't say that?
The only way you could do that is if it relates to the God proposition. That's it.
Well, even if we just make like a general observation of that, like I would even go out to say, and I'm not a political guy at all, but I would even venture to say, although I know many atheist Republicans, but that's probably just because I lean towards conservatism, that atheists are more likely than not to be democratic.
Well, I'm Canadian.
Okay.
So, but the problem is that the Republican Party has become a theocratic fascist system. So that's why you will get a lot of atheists against it, because it goes against human rights, and it's kowtowing to a theocratic fascism.
Fair enough.
So,
yeah, and I'm not too much of a stickler on the whole atheism has to be a worldview thing, but here's why I say under atheism humans have no knowledge. I believe the only way that humans can have knowledge, or the only way that knowledge is possible, is through divine revelation. So it does relate to that one question.
I don't know how you could have that.
Okay.
I can prove that that's not true in one simple example.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that.
The fact that you guys can't agree on anything. The fact that you have more than one denomination proves that is impossible.
Well, a lot of denominations agree on a lot of things.
And they also disagree on a lot of things.
Right. And I don't say that any Christian has complete knowledge.
But why not? You should. If it comes from God, you guys should all be consistent. Just like math is consistent. Well, because if you said you can't have logic without divine revelation, right? Well, I just proved it. Because if you had knowledge, well, you said you can't be logical, right? That's what
you can't have knowledge. But to be fair to you in your question, I would say that you can't justify the laws of logic without God.
I don't need to.
You don't need to. You don't need to prove that the laws of logic exist.
No. Okay, I get up in the morning. I go to work. No.
Well, if you don't need to, then you do need to.
What do you mean?
You see it's just kind of a parlor trick. I'm just trying to be funny. If the law of non-contradiction is not justified, then I don't need to follow it.
That you kind of have to. That's not how life works.
I have to?
Yeah.
All right. Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, because you can't be a married bachelor, right?
I can't be. So then the law of logic must hold everywhere at all times.
Sure.
All right.
But I don't need to justify it. because it works.
All right. So the law of non-contradiction works. Have you ever seen it work everywhere at all times?
From my limited perspective, yeah.
Well, from your limited perspective, you've seen it work in every instance that you've seen it work. But
Yeah.
and you could be fair in saying you've never seen an instance where it doesn't work. But you can't say that it's a law if you haven't seen it work everywhere at all times.
You're right. I can't say it is. I'm not calling it a law.
Right. So then I don't have to follow it.
But you do, though. That's like saying I don't believe in the theory of gravity. Well, you could, whether you believe in it or not is irrelevant. It still works.
Right, because it's a law.
It's a law in the sense that we prescribe it that, but there's nothing in the ethers that there's this law floating around, right? It's just the way, it's how we describe what we see in reality.
Right. It's a pattern.
Yeah.
Yep, that we described in nature.
So would you say that the law of reality means that people don't rise from the dead?
So I would say that laws under the Christian worldview, we can trust that they will work in the future. This has to do with induction. We can trust that they will work in the future because God does not perform miracles randomly.
We could trust it works in the future.
I
don't know how
induction,
you can. Have you ever seen?
Induction is that the future will be like the past. Right. And so under atheism, I don't think you can justify that. And you might say I don't have to, and that's fine. But
atheism has nothing to do with that.
Well, I would say you can't. So this is where it relates back to atheism. You can't justify it without God. So if there is no God, then you can't justify it. But we did get kind of sidetracked on the knowledge question.
I don't know how you could even claim that.
Let me explain.
Okay.
Because we got sidetracked on the knowledge question. So you said that Christians can't have knowledge because we can't agree with each other. But
no, I didn't know. You're claiming a monopoly on logic. I didn't say you couldn't have knowledge. Because that's to say that all Christians are stupid and they can't drive a car. No, that's ridiculous.
Well, I don't think
you're claiming
stupid.
But you're claiming a monopoly on logic, which is what I'm disagreeing with, because the Christian religion does not follow logic.
Well, I think
people don't rise from the dead. Animals don't talk.
So now you're assuming methodological naturalism. You're saying miracles can't happen because you haven't never seen a miracle happen.
I'm sorry?
So methodological naturalism says that miracles can't happen because we've never seen a miracle happen.
No, I say that miracles can't happen because that's how the laws of physics work.
All right, so again, you're assuming these universal laws, but we got sidetracked from the knowledge question. So when I say knowledge, what I mean is in an epistemic sense, a justified true belief. As an atheist, can you have a justified true belief about anything?
As an atheist, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, as Jimmy, can Jimmy have a justified true belief about anything?
I can have justified true beliefs about stuff. Yeah,
can you name one for me?
Like the sun's gonna be out there in the morning.
Okay, so the sun's gonna be out there in the morning. That is based on induction. Can you justify induction?
I can justify it by the laws of physics and how we know how the solar system works.
Okay.
And how it could be predictive.
How do you know that the laws of physics will work tomorrow? Hold on. Will work tomorrow the same way that they worked yesterday?
Because they're testable, and they're predictive. If something I test and predict doesn't come right,
they were
then
testable. They were testable and predictive yesterday, but how do you know they'll be testable and predictable tomorrow?
Because I have reasonable confidence.
Okay, so you don't know that. Because reasonable confidence is not knowledge. Reasonable confidence is the same as a probable belief.
But that's how our solar system works, and
Right,
that's
but
how our world works.
that's not
We can know
knowledge.
how our world works.
Well, you just said that you have reasonable confidence.
Hmm.
You didn't say that you knew how it worked.
I don't know anything for 100%. No one does.
Do you know that
I
for
don't believe in.
100%?
I don't know that for 100%.
Okay. Do you see the problem with that?
Well, that's the quandary we're in. No one can beat hard solicism. You know that.
So, I think I can.
Okay.
All right.
How?
Let me pull this up real quick because I wish.
So you have to have notes.
I do because, listen, I partook of a particular activity a lot in my previous years, especially as a
Me
high
too.
school student. All right.
Yeah,
well,
and I was a Christian for 20 years, so I understand.
So here's how it works. If knowledge is possible, the Bible is true. Knowledge is possible, therefore the Bible is true. So
I deny your first premise. It doesn't
Right.
even make sense. You're
That's
just
fine.
claiming that.
yeah, and I have a stage 2 argument for it, and that's fine. But it also seems like we may have a problem here with P2. Do you think that knowledge is possible?
100% knowledge?
Well,
No, I just told you that we can't.
Right.
No one's ever found a solution to hard solicism.
Okay. So here's justification for both premises, really.
Hmm.
I think we're gonna disagree on premise 1 here too, so I'm just gonna give the justification for that first to get out of that, and it's a shorter one. So this has to do with knowledge being certain. If knowledge is not certain, then it is necessarily fallible. If knowledge is fallible, it relies on some level of credence, confidence, belief below 100%. But picking
I
a
believe that-
credence,
Hmm.
but picking a credence threshold below 100% is arbitrary. There's no principled reason to choose, say, 51, 70, 90, or 99%. If the threshold is arbitrary, anything above that line can be called knowledge, erasing any meaningful distinction from mere belief. So I could say, well, my level of credence only needs to be 1% to be considered knowledge, and then everything I believe is pretty much knowledge. If the threshold between mere belief and knowledge cannot be arbitrary, then therefore knowledge must be certain. I know that was a lot, but what are your thoughts?
I didn't agree with your first premise right off the bat.
If knowledge is not certain, then it is necessarily fallible, or
Knowledge
the other
is certain, but knowledge is certain.
But certainty means
we
100%.
could. Okay, but hold on. You got to understand. If we didn't have knowledge, we couldn't do anything. The fact that we're talking over the internet proves that knowledge is possible,
Amen.
right?
Right.
So knowledge is possible.
Okay.
We go to school to learn, to get knowledge.
But if
Like,
knowledge
things are
is certain, if knowledge is possible and knowledge
Mhm.
is certain, then that means that you cannot have any possible defeaters for said knowledge.
Say that again.
So, so certainty means there is no possible way that you could be wrong about something.
I just told you we can't have. No one has a solution to hard solipsism. No one is 100.
Right, but you're saying that
100%
knowledge is
certain about-
possible, and then you disagreed with my
Yeah.
premise that knowledge doesn't
No,
have
we
to be
can have.
certain.
No, you're talking. You're going to one extreme or another.
Right.
We can have knowledge, right? I can know how to drive my car, right? I can
No.
know. What do you mean I don't know how to drive my car? I go to work every day.
Right. But
In
I
my
would
car.
say that that's not knowledge in the epistemic
Sure it
sense. No.
Sure it is. You can't put my 7-year-old daughter in the car and expect her to drive it. Why? Because she doesn't have knowledge on how the car drives
So this
or
is
how to run it.
the way we colloquially can't say that word. Use
Collo-
the term.
No, I can't say it.
Use the term knowledge is different than knowledge in the epistemic sense. So what we call knowledge in everyday use is really just a certain probable belief.
No.
Well, look, if you say I know how to drive this car, there
Mhm.
are plenty of people who develop Alzheimer's, and one day
Mhm.
they know how to drive a car, and the next they don't.
Yes, they don't have knowledge of it anymore.
So if they
They've
go into
lost
the
it.
car, right? So if they go into the car saying I know how to drive this car, and then they get in the car and they don't know what to do,
hmm
then they don't know it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does this actually resonate to you on any level? Like, is this why you believe in blood magic? Because of
Oh,
these
don't go
arguments?
there.
But
No.
you do. You believe in
So
blood magic,
let
and
me tell
and
you.
you believe in zombies rising from the dead, and animals talking, and that women should be
Right.
subservient to men.
Right.
Like,
So, and I get where you're
like,
coming from. I totally understand.
okay,
But
do you?
so I'll give you a little bit of my background. I grew up in the church, but about
Mhm.
13, when I could stay home and play video games, I said that sounds way more fun. So I did that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Growing up, I would never deny that God existed, but I would just be like, not interested. Got into
Mhm.
partying, all that stuff. And then I got into some. I'm on TikTok too, so I gotta be careful. I got into
Mhm.
some other stuff that alters your mind. I'm sure
Okay,
you could put,
you got into some bad stuff. Okay, we
and
all
and
are.
and not the worst stuff, because I had family members who were in the worst stuff, and I was able to stay
Mhm.
away from it from their example. But I'm sure you could tell the stuff that makes you, the stuff that Jimi Hendrix was famous for.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Me back in high school too. Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
I would never
we
do it
probably
again.
would have gotten along pretty well then back in high school.
Probably. Probably. You seem like a reasonable person. That's why I'm trying to reach out to you.
Well, I appreciate that, and same. Now, after that experience, I had a really bad experience, and I went back to a dilemma in my life where I was going to go one of two ways. I thought, if God is real, I believe that I would find him by reading the scriptures. If I didn't find him by doing that, then I was just going to go balls to the wall the other direction. And I can't go into detail here. TikTok is so sensitive.
No, you don't have to. I get your point.
All right.
I get your point. You feel that if
so
you didn't
this
have
is
God, you would be bad.
This is the reasons I became a Christian, because I started reading the scripture. I believe that the Holy Spirit gave me faith, and that I believed this, and my life completely changed, and I had an experience. What I don't think proves that Christianity is true is personal experience. So I started studying for a year or two. I got into some heresy known as full preterism. Not sure if you're familiar with the term.
With what?
Full preterism. So full
No, never heard of
preterism is
that.
a heresy that Jesus already returned. It's pretty Gnostic in nature, but it has some explanatory power for the scriptures that makes it seem, that makes it attractive per se. If you love the Bible and you look into it, it's attractive, but it's heresy at the end of the day, and I could go into that. But anyway, I say full preterism is a pipeline to atheism, because I've seen so many people who are full preterists become atheists. One good example is on TikTok, a man named Jeff for Truth. He wrote a book. He believes that Jesus was created by the Romans, like a mythical god, to trick the Jews. And in his book, he starts off with full preterism. It's called Jesus Demigod on Amazon, if anybody wants to read it. I actually debated him on my YouTube as well, at Wi-Fi Gospel. All right, so about 2 years into my Christianity, got into this heresy, started believing it, started unraveling, deconstructing my Christianity, you could say. And I thought to myself, all right, I'm going to look at the arguments for Christianity, because so far my whole experience as a Christian has been just that, experience. So I'm going to look into the arguments for and against Christianity. And I just started diving into debates. And the first debate I watched, it took me about 30 watches for me to understand what the heck was going on. I was a high school dropout, not interested in anything intellectual at all. And then, so from there, I came to presuppositional apologetics, and I started learning it. And it was very, very effective. It made sense to me. I think, I mean, this is 7 years ago now. I actually, 6 months after I learned it, I debated a guy, it's also on my YouTube, by Dennis Paul Himes. I think he's still alive. I think he was like 67 when I debated him. But he's the president of the Atheist Humanist Society. And around this time, presuppositional apologetics was not very mainstream. And so people didn't really know how to defend against it. So that's why it was so effective, because when you don't hear about it, it can really take you out of your element. And if you go look at Side 10 Bruggenkate's videos from that time, he was just wiping the floor with atheists, to be frank.
I've watched his stuff. He does not wipe the floor with atheists.
I'm just saying.
He is so boring to listen to, and he's so
I don't think so.
He's so circular, and he's like listening to a child. My eyes are closed, so you're no longer there. So there. That's the kind of level of arguments I hear from him.
A lot of people have that opinion of Sai. I don't. I love Sai.
I think your partner is okay. You want to talk good apologetics, the guy that you have as a partner that
Joel.
comes on with you. He's a nice guy, and he's pretty with it.
Hey.
He's okay.
Joel learned from Sai too, my friend. Just saying, we both.
Well, did. I think he's way better than Sai. I think Sai.
I agree, P.
a joke.
By the way. I'm just it's funny because looking in the chat, whenever I mention I'm a high school dropout, it always triggers everybody. They're like, "See, that's why you run these arguments." It's funny.
Did you get your GED yet?
No, because
why?
Father, when I dropped out, my father's the best guy in the world. When I dropped out, he said, "All right, kid, come work for me or get out." I said, "All right, I'm coming to work for you." He said, "Go work for me, get a job or get out." I said, "All right, I'll come work for you." And he owns a pretty successful paintless dent removal business, and I learned how to do that, and I make really good money. At least I think so, enough to support my family. I'm glad,
but you should still get your GED.
Even when I stopped doing what I was doing because I wanted to pursue a different business. The business failed, and then I needed to get a job for a little bit while I got back into what I'm doing now, which is paintless dent removal. And it was I just put that I had a high school diploma, and nobody ever asked me about it.
I know they don't. They really don't. But you should, just for yourself. Like, come on, man. Not to have your high school diploma. Come on.
I don't know. I had an awful school experience too.
I
was
know.
Just a bad kid, but
you know what? You've changed, and you don't have to necessarily go back to high school. You can do it in courses. Come on, man. You can do this.
I know.
You want to.
I do want to maybe pursue a seminary degree, and for stuff like that, you do have to have a diploma or a GED.
All right. Well, you do you, buddy.
Thank you, Risen. I didn't see those gifts till now. Appreciate it.
So you started doing the apologetics tour, and then you felt it really convincing to you. Like, have you actually sat down and tried to consider that maybe there isn't a God? That maybe, let me ask you something. You know what? I was a Christian for 20 years.
Okay.
And I was even in a religious cult. That's how seriously I took it. And there was even at one point I was thinking about going homeless and going on the streets and just spreading the gospel, because I denied riches and I took the word seriously, what Jesus had spoke.
Okay.
But there was a lot of things. I'm not going to just say the contradictions in the Bible. And then I started seeing the really awful, immoral things that God did, and how he even contradicts his own nature, what he says love is. Let me what is the beatitudes of love in Corinthians? Love is patient, love is kind, love doesn't get angry, right?
Right.
How many times does God get angry? How many times does God lose his patience? How many times does he claim that he's jealous? Think about that.
Yeah.
Why would an omnipotent deity be jealous? Why would an omnipotent being
that one's
have
easy.
to need? Why would it matter if we believe in a God or not? Why does it matter? That's like me having an ant farm and me getting all upset that the ants aren't worshiping me. Anything that demands worship is not worthy of worship.
So if
these are the things that didn't.
Yeah,
hold on. Sorry, I'm not done yet.
Yeah, my bad.
These are things that plagued me.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that always plagued me was the concept of hell. And I don't know how Christians do it. How do you turn your heart off? At what point in heaven, maybe it's year 1000, and there's people that you know that you love and care about that don't think the same way as you, and they're being tortured. At what year are you going to stop thinking about them and not care that the people that you love are being tortured? What year will that be? How long do you think it'll be for you to forget those people?
Yeah, you know, I had a friend in high school tell me right after I got saved, a friend from high school, right after I got saved, and didn't know what the heck I was talking about, but just wanted to share the gospel. And I asked him just to read the Bible, just to do something, like entertain me here, listen to me. And he said, his father had just passed, and his father was not a Christian. And he said, if my father's not there, I don't want to be there. His grandmother had just passed as well. If my grandmother's not there, I don't want to be there. So I understand the sentiment. But I also understand that when we sin, when we commit a crime against a friend, we commit a crime against a police officer, a judge, the president, there's different levels of punishment based on who these people are. And if you look at who God is, and to sin against the holy creator of the universe, I think deserves a punishment that's fitting for that. And I do think that's hell. And I think that if you...
Why do you think that?
Because that's what God says. And so as a Christian, my reasoning... Jesus isn't just the Lord of my life. He's the Lord of my reasoning.
Do you understand how divisive your religion is and how much damage it does, though?
And this is the power of the apologetic, by the way. Just to say that being divisive is a bad thing, you have to assume the God who made you.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I can be angry at divisive. I'm angry at the Republicans because how much they're gaslighting democracy.
If I told you I was angry at people for saving babies from a burning building, would I be justified in that anger?
If you're angry at what?
At somebody saving a baby from a burning building, a firefighter.
Why would you be angry at a firefighter?
Right. There would be no justification for it.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you that there's no justification. If there is no God, there is no justification for you being angry at anything.
Of course. Why not?
Because
that
there's
follow.
No justification for it.
Sure, there
saying
is.
Why not isn't a justification.
My humanity. So, like when I look at my daughter, do I need to have a thought about God? No. Do I need to have a thought about God to love her? No.
The reason that you love your daughter is because God exists. If you're saying that there is no God, then there's no good reason. There's no justification for saying anything, for saying love is a good thing.
Of course there is.
I'm
a human. I have feelings. I have feelings. I don't need religion
to have feelings. Have feelings that are opposite of yours.
Of course. So
who's right?
No one. Feelings are subjective.
Exactly.
So
right. So that you have zero justification. So
I don't need to justify feelings. Right. They just are.
So when you say divisiveness is bad, there's zero justification for saying that.
Of course I can, because it has real world harm.
So why is harm a bad thing?
Because it harms me. Because it harms our society. It does real world.
Is all forms of harm bad?
Yes.
Okay. And
harm in its definition. No, harm in its definition means to do bad.
Well,
it's defined as being bad. It has nothing to do with God.
Well, the definition of harm that I see is physical injury, especially that which is deliberately inflicted.
You know what I realized too, as being a Christian, and what made me lose my faith? Not just the fact that there is no contemporary accounts of Jesus ever. Was
there
the fact
plenty.
that
I just did a debate.
No, there isn't. No, there isn't.
Yeah, okay.
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Not one.
Was Josephus contemporary?
He's not a contemporary account of Jesus. He never lived at the time of Jesus, and he did not. There's nothing. There's not a cloth from Jesus. there isn't a record in the Roman books about Jesus. There is not one person outside the Bible that ever wrote about Jesus at the time that Jesus lived.
You're right about Josephus. He was born in 37 AD. But you would have to deny all of the scriptures, not even theologically, just as historical documents.
Sure, I do deny the scriptures
as historical documents.
They're heinous.
So just because something is heinous doesn't mean it's not a historical document.
You know what? Spider-Man, the comic Spider-Man is a historical document, just like the Bible is.
Okay.
It talks about New York.
Come on.
Sure it is. It talks about New York, and it has places of New York. Like, sure, it's a historical document. Just because the Bible talks about certain people that might have been in history or places does not mean that it's all true.
I didn't say you had. Yeah, but you're going to the opposite extreme. You're saying it's not historical at all. You're saying is that no contemporaries wrote about Jesus. You're saying that every single document of the New Testament is a fraud and a forgery. That is that is not a, like, even secular academics would disagree with that. Like 99% of them.
I have a hard time believing any of that shit happened. Any of that stuff happened in the Gospels. But am I going to say that there wasn't a King David? There might have been. And am I going to say, but I know that the Jews were never slaves of the Egyptians, and they didn't do the trek. I know that. I know the Red Sea didn't part. And I know that the sun didn't stand still. And I know that the world isn't flat. Like,
again,
and
you
I
have
know
to
that we
assume
didn't
naturalism to assume those. Well,
of course,
the Bible
that's all we have.
The Bible doesn't.
That's all we have.
The Earth is flat, but
the Earth. No. The Bible says that the world is laid out like a clay disc, like a clay seal, which is flat. And when Satan took Jesus up to the mountaintops, what did he do? He showed him the four corners of the world.
No.
Right?
No, it says he showed
Our
him the
world
kingdoms
does not
of
have four corners.
It doesn't say that he showed him the four corners.
Sure it does.
Jesus tempted by the devil.
But you know, at the
devil
heart
took
of
him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in their splendor.
Okay. The point is this, is that at the premise of Christianity, at its very heart, it forces you to believe in something that is physically impossible. That's why it is an immoral belief system.
Did you use that as just
not
like
only makes
a metaphor?
Not only does it
impossible.
Force you to believe something that cannot happen, that threatens you with violence. It's a very violent. It normalizes.
I thought we couldn't
violence.
have certainty, my friend.
Sure, we can. I said we can't have 100% certainty.
That's what certainty means.
I said we don't have a solution to hard solicism, and these semantics doesn't really mean anything.
No, and it's not just semantics, and I'm not trying to play word games. But you're saying when you say something cannot be true, when you're saying something cannot happen, you're saying it with 100% certainty, like logically.
I'm saying it with everything that we know about physics, it cannot happen. Well, with how the world works and how reality works, it can't happen.
And this goes into the other argument that I have on the screen about moral responsibility. If all you believe is that physics can tell us the truth, then determinism is true. And everything we do is determined by previous states of the universe.
I don't know why these arguments mean anything. At the heart of what Christianity is, it's forcing you to believe stuff that cannot happen. People don't rise from the dead. They don't.
And I say this in the same way that you would say this to me. And I'm not trying to take a dig at you because, like I said, you would say the same thing as me. You have ulterior motives for what you believe.
I have ulterior motives of what?
So just like you would say that I believe Christianity not because it's true, but because maybe I'm not reasoning correctly, maybe I'm not
No, I think you've been indoctrinated, and that's
All right,
not your fault.
fair enough. There it is. I think the same thing for you, because I think
But how
that the
could I
heart
be?
and the nature of man is to hate
But
God.
I was no, hold on. I was a Christian for 20 years. Did you not hear when I told you
Yeah,
I was in a cult
absolutely.
because I
And
believed it?
even the Bible talks about apostasy. But the problem is that the nature of man is to hate God and to love their own sin.
Then
And
why
for-
does the majority of the world love God?
Well, the majority of the world doesn't love God. But the only
Of course
reason
it does.
anybody loves
You just
God,
said it. You just said it to the guy beforehand.
no, well,
How many people? The majority of people believe in God.
yes, but belief in God does not mean love of God. Even the demons believe in God, right? You know that verse.
Hmm.
But they believe and they shudder. They're afraid of God. Now, because they know their end. There's no salvation for a demon. The only reason anybody loves God is because God has changed them. God has given them faith. God has regenerated them and took out their heart of stone and given them a heart of flesh. And I know you don't want to
But I
hear
don't.
this.
No, I don't hate God. Do you understand? I don't
Right.
believe in God.
And
I can't hate something that I don't believe in.
Sai uses this all the time. It goes like this. Imagine you grew up, you have loving parents, they do everything for you. And then one day you go to college and they drop you off at college. And you go around proclaiming that your parents don't exist. Would that be hatred of them?
That wouldn't even make sense.
I think you're saying it doesn't make sense because you understand it.
No, it doesn't make sense because why would I ever say my parents don't exist unless I was purposely lying? It has nothing to do with my belief.
So the Bible says that we all know that God exists, that there is no excuse.
I know
and
what
that
your
the
cult book
reason
says.
the reason that we deny him
That's you
is
do realize
because we
that's
love
what
our
cults
sin.
do, right? You know that's what cults do, right? They make sure that you never question their beliefs. That's what the Jehovah's
Whoa.
Witnesses do. Yeah.
I just told you I questioned everything.
But you were indoctrinated in it.
No.
And you still thought you still believed in it because you felt that your only two options was either I'm going to follow God or I'm going to go this way. There was never a middle ground with you.
Right.
Because you still believed in God.
Because if I was an atheist, I wouldn't have any justification for anything I did.
Were you ever an atheist? Was there a time you didn't believe in God?
Practically speaking, yes, but if you had asked
Practically,
me,
but it nagged at you, didn't it? That there was probably a possibility, right?
Yeah.
Right. I totally do not believe that there's a God because I don't think that it's possible. I couldn't even tell you what a God is. Can you tell me what a God is?
Yeah, I mean, we could pull
What
up.
is it?
Here.
What does it taste like? What does it smell like?
So
what
again,
is
if you're presupposing naturalism, and naturalism has
I'm
been
not.
debunked.
I'm asking you to describe what.
Describe a law of logic. Give me a cup of law of logic. That's what you're doing.
You can't. I just told you that. It's not.
So it
it's
doesn't
not
exist
a
then,
thing.
right?
It's not a
law
thing.
of logic doesn't exist. The law of non-contradiction doesn't exist.
It's a prescription. It's a description.
It's
not a thing.
What is it describing?
It's describing how we reason. But it's not an actual thing.
So it
just like objective morals aren't a thing. There's no such thing as objective morals.
Okay, so then I can believe whatever I want about morals.
You can believe whatever you want.
All right, so I can believe whatever I want about logic.
Sure. You could be wrong, but you can believe whatever you want.
So you can be wrong about morals?
Sure we can. The Nazis were. They thought they were doing the right thing.
Objective morals don't exist, you just said. Are the laws of logic objective?
They work every time. But there's no such thing as objective morals. You can't go out in outer space
so
and
then
pick
I
it
can
up.
believe whatever I want about
Of course you can.
Right.
You can believe whatever you want.
If the laws of logic are not objective, then I can believe whatever I want about them.
Do you understand logic and morals aren't the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you keep conflating them? You're the one equating them. I'm not.
No.
I'm not.
So you're saying so laws of logic are immaterial and they don't exist in the world, is what you're saying.
That's right.
Okay.
Just like numbers don't exist in the world, right? Math doesn't exist. It's something that we describe, and it works every time, right?
When you say it's something that we describe, what is it that we're describing?
We're describing counting. We're describing the amount of
Is
stuff.
counting a description?
Yep.
What is counting describing?
It's describing counting the amounts of things.
Yeah, is counting the amounts of things a description?
Yes.
Okay,
Anyways,
so-
why are we talking about this? I'm trying to get
I do
into.
encourage you to go back and listen, and you've
I
made
am
a
listening,
lot of logical contradictions within our conversation.
If you want to think that, that's fine. It
Okay.
doesn't matter to me, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, none of this stuff does anything to justify blood magic. None of this arguments do anything to justify people rising from the dead. You will never be able to do that. And at the heart of Christianity, that's what it is. It's forcing you to believe in impossible things. And it divides people. And it's harming us. Your religion normalizes violence.
Nothing is wrong with harming anybody in your worldview.
Of course it is.
No, you just said I could believe
No,
whatever I
that's,
want about
that's
morals.
silly. That is
All right,
silly.
Is our ice cream flavor subjective? Your favorite ice cream flavor?
Yes.
All right. If the morals are the same, then I can like whatever ice cream flavor I want. You can't tell me I'm wrong. I can believe whatever. I can say harm is not bad, and you can't tell me I'm wrong. You can just tell me that it's not your preference.
You could say it, and you just did, but it doesn't mean that you're right. You could swing.
Well, it doesn't mean I'm wrong either.
Hold on. You could swing your fist as much as you want, but the moment that it makes contact with my face, that's when we have a problem, right?
Well, yeah, but
so
it doesn't mean
stuff
that it's
has
wrong for me to do
real-world
that.
consequences. Do you understand? Actions have consequences, right?
Yeah, we just talked about determinism. That's why determinism is true.
Actions have consequences. So our morals, behaviors have consequences. That's why they matter. That's why we have to live in a society. And if we lived in a society based on your rules, we would be putting women to death for not being virgins on their wedding night. We would be killing homosexuals.
What's
We'd
wrong
be
with
killing witches because it's wrong. Because it hurts people. It hurts
You're
people.
just moving the goalposts and then
No,
not
I'm not.
justifying it.
Because
and then
it
you
hurts.
admit that it's subjective.
It
So just
hurts
because
people.
saying hurting someone is wrong because it hurts them is not a justification. That's like me saying God is real because God is real.
Of course it's a justification.
Okay, then God is real
because we
God
want to
is real.
reduce harm. We want to reduce harm. We want to make our society better.
But you realize when you say better, you're already assuming an objective standard?
Yeah, because we thrive. There is real things that you can count that makes our society better or not.
Also, harm is also subjective.
Just like
the very thing of harm, it's subjective. Like your harm and my harm are completely subjective. Right?
Okay, let's put it this way. Let me give you two clear, good examples. Okay.
Okay.
In your country, you guys think guns are great. In my country, we have strict regulations on guns.
You used to think guns were great, right?
What?
You guys used to think guns were great too, right? Before Trudeau. I'm asking a question. Didn't Trudeau take the guns away?
I was just asking a question. Restrictions on handguns. He's put restrictions on handguns.
I just remember seeing a TikTok clip of him saying that he would never touch the guns, and then another clip of him.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of bad things against Trudeau because the right-wing media is really ramping up their rhetoric against Canada because Trump wants to annex us. Anyways.
Yeah, you might be an American soon. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I will die. I will die before I won't even visit your country because this is where I'm trying to get to the point.
Okay.
You guys think guns are great. In our country, we have restrictions. Okay. You guys have the opinion, but there is real world harm that your crazy gun laws are doing. You guys have mass shootings all the time. You have children shot in schools. These are crazy dystopian things that are happening.
They're
but you guys think
right?
it is wrong. Children being shot in school is very wrong.
You just don't like it. According
of course I don't like it. Do you like children shot in schools?
No, but there's a reason why. Because we're made in the image of God.
Why?
Because we're made in the image of God.
What does that matter? God kills children.
That means we have value. Well,
God kills children
God
in your
is the
Bible.
giver of life, right?
So it shouldn't matter to you then, right?
Well, of course it does. What do you mean?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
You just said.
me
We
taking
just talked
somebody's
about-
life and God taking somebody's life is completely different.
You justify it though, and justification is
yeah,
just as
because
bad.
the giver and creator of life can do what he pleases, but
Do
he
you
also
think
does what
the
is good.
Nazis? Do you think the Nazis, the actual SS guards, were bad, or do you think all the people that allowed it and turned
See-
a blind eye to this stuff were just as bad too?
This is perfect because I can think they're bad under my
Mhm.
worldview. Under your worldview, the only thing you can say is that it is your subjective opinion
How can you think it's bad in your worldview?
because the God who created the universe created it with laws that reflect his nature, and he holds us accountable for those laws and will judge them for us at the end of our life.
Your God literally does genocide on the regular.
Okay. God
Your God
judging
literally
sinners is not wrong.
You're justifying genocide. Yes.
God judging sinners for their sin does not make God bad.
Genocide is bad.
Okay. I
Period.
think we're going in a circle now, but I think
No, we're not. You're justifying genocide, and this is another reason what makes you
genocide. But you can't even prove that genocide is wrong. You just have a subjective opinion about it.
Sure, I can, because it harms people.
Again, we've talked about this multiple times now.
So you don't think harming people is wrong?
No. In my worldview, there's a reason to believe that. In your worldview, there is no reason to believe that.
Of course I do. What are you
just
talking
do.
about?
You just have an opinion about harm, which in itself is a subjective notion.
Of course.
For example, this is the problem with utilitarianism, which is what you're espousing here. Harming somebody is not inherently wrong because it's dependent upon the context. Very simply put, surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Surgery is harmful in order to make you better.
So let me ask you something, okay?
Yeah.
So if a doctor comes in and gives you a needle and it pinches, right?
That's harm.
It caused you some harm, but it's good, right?
But you said all harm is bad.
No, I said it harms people and it's bad.
Right.
If you want to get into semantics, fine.
This is very important.
Well, I don't care about semantics. I don't care about semantics.
And that's
because it doesn't matter.
That's why you can't answer the questions I'm asking you.
Sure I can. I've been answering every single question you have had.
And
come on.
Completely circular.
Come on. We may disagree on stuff. We may disagree on stuff, but I'm answering your stuff cordially. Come on, man. Let's not play that game. I'm not accusing you of not answering my question.
What I meant by that is that your answers were not sufficient. That I didn't mean you were, because you were answering.
I'm sorry if you don't understand why I think that harm is bad. When my daughter was going through a cancer battle.
Well, I'm definitely sorry about that.
It's okay. I'm not trying to play the cancer card, okay? I'm just saying it was bad. It was causing her harm. I can say that cancer is bad. It's harmful. And you would say, well, why? Well, you don't believe in God, so you can't say that. Of course I can say that. Because it's causing pain. It's causing turmoil. It's doing real world harm. Right? My daughter getting cancer caused real world harm, right?
Yeah, and I would never. I don't want to make it personal because I don't.
I'm just using that as an example. It's the same thing. When people get,
I'm sensitive to that thing because that's a very serious thing, and I wouldn't want to make it personal. I hope you understand.
Okay, but I'm trying to make you understand. Okay, I just want my society to be better. I want everyone to flourish. I want people to be happy.
And I think
Do you understand that? Why is that wrong?
It's not wrong. And the only
reason, but your religion
I'm saying is this is the proof that God exists because you feel this way.
Not.
Otherwise, there's no good reason to feel that way. It's just a chemical fizzing in your brain making you feel this way.
No, your God does bad things. I objectively, morally find it reprehensible.
This is, and I say this with all respect, this is what I mean by logical contradictions. You flip-flopped now and just said that you have this objective moral. You have the subjective standard of morality.
It's objective to me, which is subjective. Okay? I can have an objective, I can find something objectively wrong, but it's still based in my subjective feelings.
Yeah. I would really, really, really think about that, because I think it's a complete contradiction.
I don't feel objective morals exist, and I don't think that you can't, with believing in the Bible, think that objective morals exist either. Because you have to believe that whatever God does is good. So that's subjective to the mind of God. It really comes down to that. Objective means that it's wrong every time. Just like when God said murder is wrong to Moses, and then gave him the commandment as soon as he came down to the hill to murder 3,000 of the Israelites.
Do you believe that a capital punishment is murder?
I don't believe in capital punishment.
Okay. But
I believe it exists, but I don't believe it's right. I don't believe it's right at all.
Do you believe it's murder?
Yeah.
So if a 25-year-old man shoots up a school and kills 30 children and they put him to death, you would say that's wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have to go across the board, yeah. Because we get it wrong too many times. How many times people get put to death and that are innocent?
I'm talking
Would
about
I shoot him? Probably. Would I shoot him? Now, you could ask me, right? I'm just saying, would I want that as a rule? Would I want capital punishment? No. But if I was in that school and I had a gun and I saw him shooting, would I shoot them? Yeah, I would. No problem. And I wouldn't think twice about it.
And would you say that's immoral?
This is the point. This is the point, my friend. Your religion is doing real world harm, and it's causing real world harm, and it's causing people to be indoctrinated. And like, I see the Trump effect as the biggest example. He is doing terrible things, and people keep excusing it over and over. And now he's talking about taking over countries. And like I said to you, I would die before I ever lived in the States. I can't even visit your country because it's so goddamn violent. You guys are crazy over there. And you guys think it's normal. It's not. You guys have people walking around with guns. It's insane. Like, this is insane. You guys
have you been to Toronto lately? Come on.
I was at Sick Kids. My daughter, Sick Kids Hospital. I don't know if you should look into it. It's an amazing hospital. That's where my daughter, they saved her. You know what? My daughter was in the hospital for 6 months, and I stayed at Ronald McDonald's house. You know how much all our medicine costs?
I know.
And all our stays
Ronald McDonald is really, really great program.
But do you know how much my daughter's cancer treatments cost? Everything? Over 6 months?
You like the cost that you paid, or the cost of the actual stuff?
The cost that I paid, that my family paid.
I don't know. I thought it was universal health care in Canada.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Not a cent. Nothing. My daughter's life was saved. It didn't cost me anything. We didn't have to mortgage our house. Do you know how many horror stories I hear coming from your country of people going bankrupt or dying because they can't? And now, like, with these crazy anti-abortion laws, women are being jailed.
Don't go there.
Women are being jailed for miscarriages, man.
No, not for miscarriages.
Yes, they are. They're being jailed for miscarriages. They're dying of sepsis because doctors aren't touching them. Okay. This is how this extremist behavior of your religion is pushing, man.
The extremist behavior, because you want to talk about atheistic worldviews. There are 1 million babies slaughtered every year in the womb of their own mothers.
My God.
You want to talk about harm?
Oh my God, I hate this. See, this is the problem.
We don't have to go there. That's not what this stream is about.
But
anyway.
Do you understand that pregnancy is complicated?
Yes.
Do you understand that?
I have a friend right now. His wife's pregnant for the 4th time. And
and it's very, very complicated, and lots can go wrong. And now what has happened is that your country is taking that choice out of women's hands. Now women are
to murder their own children.
It's not murder. It's healthcare, man. And this is the problem. You're killing women because you have conflated this
Divine,
idea.
Are you in here? Sorry. Divine, if you're in here, please come up. I don't think he is. Sorry, my friend Divine debates abortion all the time, and he would He would pull the facts out quick. He's good.
He could pull out whatever facts he wants, but pregnancy is complicated. Period.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you get to off your own kid. Why are we sad when people miscarriage?
Why are we sad?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're sad for the woman because she wanted to have a baby.
Okay, but if she didn't want to have it, then screw it.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate that
exactly.
she doesn't have it anymore.
And do you know what it's like to be a child and grow up and not have parents that want you? Do you know how much that destroys lives? Do you know what it's like
to be a dead child who was murdered by their own mother?
Well, I'm telling you, if you want to think, do you think sperm is a child?
Come on.
Do you ever masturbate? Do you feel guilty every time you kill a child? Every time you masturbate?
Do you know the scientific consensus on when life starts?
The scientific consensus of when life starts. Why don't you enlighten me?
And you can Google it right now. There'll be 100 articles that pop up. When the sperm meets the egg.
Really?
Yeah. Google it right now.
Okay. So that gives you guys the right to control women's bodies and force them to be pregnant?
In the same way that it gives us the right to make laws that you can't go around and break into people's homes and shoot them.
Well, this is another reason why I'm glad I don't live in the States. Because I will never want my daughter not to have control over her body or have her life in danger because some doctor won't touch her. What's that?
What about your granddaughter?
When my daughter's when my daughter's old enough, and if she wants to have a child, then great. And if she doesn't want to have a child, then she shouldn't be forced to have one.
Yeah,
I think pregnancy is very complicated.
Here, but
do you know how many women die in childbirth? Do you know that
not as much anymore, but yeah, a lot.
Your country is one of the worst countries in the entire world for women dying in childbirth. This is crazy. You guys are going back to the Stone Age.
Yet we have the most abortions. It's interesting.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Hopefully.
Well, I think it's crazy. This is part of why your religion is destroying society.
I would like to thank you for coming. I think I would like to say we had a good conversation. It was a long one. I don't know.
It was fine. I know we've gone for. I'm happy to go away, but thank you for having me on your line. I really hope you think about this stuff.
Same.
Because honestly, your religion is doing so much harm, and there's so much. When you actually let go of your ego and you realize how much you don't know, you'll realize that it's impossible to come to a conclusion if there's a God or not, much less whether it has a penis or not, or what holy book you should follow. You have nailed your viewpoint, and it's harmful, and we're watching it. The whole world is aghast of what's happening in your country right now. The whole world is sick. Yeah. And you got Elon Musk now doing Nazi salutes, and you've got friggin'
gosh. No, this is why I don't like to get into politics. I'm not a political guy at all.
Okay, but
really not. I didn't even vote.
The Republicans have turned into a theocratic fascist Nazi party, and that's the whole world. You guys need to hear it. The whole world thinks you guys are absolutely bat nuts crazy, and we're absolutely grossed out.
That I'm pretty nuts, but
no, seriously, listen to me. The whole world not only laughs at Trump because of what an idiot he is, but can't believe the evil that is going on.
Evil.
You guys are gonna be in the history books as Nazi Germany.
Is that objectively evil? I try to make a joke on the way out. I do appreciate you coming on, Jimmy.
You take care of yourself. Maybe I'll come by. Would you have me? Would you be interested in having another conversation?
Absolutely, and I would love to see you on a Monday night. If I see you in chat, I'll pull you up to the front of the line if you'd like.
I work midnights. That's why you no, I'm off tonight. But if I get another chance and I see you guys don't have any guests, I'll be more than happy to stop by and have another conversation. Thank you for having me in your house, and you have a great night.
Thank you for coming.
And I'll keep trying to hit those like buttons to boost your ratings.
Okay? I appreciate that.
Have a nice night.
You too, Jimmy. Bye.
Bye now.
Oof. That was a interesting conversation. Thank you guys for watching. I got a little bit more time. One Akna? You're not even in the guest box, my friend. Unless you're MRAC402. That's the only person I see in the guest box. Oh, you're on YouTube. Are you in if you're in collab, if you used the link join.wifigospel.com, you'd have to rejoin now because I only have one slot available. So while he's in there, it wouldn't come up. But if you're on TikTok, I don't see you on TikTok. MRAC, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Were you trying to just stay on that abortion topic, or what topic were you wanting to stay on?
Yeah, that conversation did go to a lot of different places, but the topic
I must have just go ahead.
Yeah, no, the topic for tonight is under atheism, humans have no knowledge or moral responsibility. Are you an atheist?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
Agnostic.
agnostic, but
That's
pretty
fine.
much everybody considers me atheist.
Gotcha. And do you think that you can have knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what your definition of knowledge is,
Okay. I use the
right?
general definition that most epistemologists use, which is justified true belief.
Okay, then that's just gonna lead to the next question. What is considered truth? And I mean, that's just I think that goes down a real deep what we're not physical. It just go down a wormhole of
Well, I mean,
you just question the definition of everything, and right.
we could do that, or we could find common ground amongst definitions to have a conversation.
Well, I think the base of it is that the root of that conversation seems to be that this God is what lays the truth, and without having a God laying a truth, you have no truth. Is the gist of where that goes, right?
In a sense, yes. One Akna, I do see you now in the guest box. I'll pull you up next. But I honestly, without even talking about God, the first question I have
Mm-hmm.
is what is knowledge under an atheistic worldview?
Under an atheistic worldview, I think it's under the general worldview. Knowledge is the understanding of the understanding of whatever, the understanding of your environment, the understanding of a subject.
Okay. So what's the difference between a belief and knowledge?
Well, I think a belief, the difference between a belief and a fact, I think, would be that it's repeatable, measurable, recordable, right? And a belief would be something that you can't measure, control, have constraints on in that way.
Okay. But you do believe things that you can't put in a test tube, right?
I mean, it doesn't just because you can't put it in a test tube, but you can still have a belief based off of math. I mean, math can't be put in a test tube, but it can lead to a belief, or it can lead to a fact.
But like you kind of explained the scientific method a little bit there.
Right,
And
pretty much,
we don't
exactly. Yeah.
we don't believe math is a fact or true based on the scientific method, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the most elementary version of the scientific method.
No,
You can show 2 plus 2. You can put two sticks, put them together. There's 4 sticks. That's
but that
the
doesn't
scientific method.
that
That's
doesn't
testing it.
no the but math is axiomatic and it's based off of the laws of logic. None of which you can
Well,
test,
yeah,
repeat,
but
and run the
you can
scientific method.
you can show math is my point. You can demonstrate it. So
Right, but
that's
that's not the
part.
scientific method. That's not
Well, it is
repeating
though
it and
because
testing it.
you're taking a concept, a theory, and you're putting it to practice and getting a result.
It's
I
really
have a
not.
theory that if I take 2 things and add 2 more things, I will come out with 4 things. I go out to the woods, I pick up 4 sticks.
You're
Or
assuming the law of identity. You're assuming the law of non-contradiction.
no, I'm not
How
assuming the law of non. Okay.
When you do math, because math is axiomatic in nature. And you have to assume the law of identity. You have to assume there's a whole bunch of algebraic
Right. I'm
laws as well.
assuming that I understand the concept of one.
But
Right.
But let's just bring it back real quick. Knowledge is a justified true belief. If you have another definition that's philosophically viable, we could use it because there are some. But generally speaking, knowledge is a justified true belief. That's what I was getting at with the difference between a belief and knowledge. So in order to know something, you have to believe it, which that's the easy part. You can believe anything. It has to be justified, meaning you have to have a good reason that is not logically contradictory to believe it.
Right.
And that it has to ontologically be true. That it has to match reality.
Okay.
So, can you name one thing that you know and how you know it?
No, I was just going to ask how any of that points to a God, if I can ask that.
And I definitely will get back to that because I believe it does. But the question is, as an atheist, how can you know anything?
Well, I guess then if you break it down to that philosophical, that's why I was getting at the beginning where this goes into this wormhole, right? If you can break anything down and you can break it down to that question, right? So, yeah, if you break it down to that level, anybody's going to have to say there's no way of knowing for sure.
All right. Well, that is a logical contradiction.
That's a logical contradiction.
Do you know for sure that you can't know anything for sure?
See, this is you're just doing a circumvental argument right there. I would, if we could transfer this, if you could explain how the God fits into this equation and all of a sudden everything works.
Because knowledge must be certain, and if you can't,
okay, go ahead.
In order for something to be certain, you have to rule out all possible defeaters, because what it means to be certain is that there's absolutely no possible way you can be wrong about the matter. The only way you can do that is if you know everything, and only God can know everything.
Okay, so who told God these things?
What do you mean?
How does this God know these things? How does this God come to know these things and place them us?
He knows things because he created all things.
Okay, then what created the God?
Nothing.
So this God came from nothing.
No, like not
you
that
just
nothing
said that.
Created the God. That God has always existed. He's eternal.
And you find that logical. You see no fallacy in that. This God has always been, has no creation.
If you go back to
you
science,
see where I'm coming from? Where this is
the number one
your argument
the
against
number one refutation
my reasoning
of the cosmological argument, I believe it's called, which I don't use. Like the first cause has a cause, is that if everything needs a cause but God doesn't need a cause, then the universe doesn't need a cause. So the universe can be eternal. So you have to take it one way or the other. Either the universe is eternal or God is eternal. But you just said that's not logically consistent. But then your position
right, that's exactly, because that doesn't make sense, right? You can't just say things always exist and will always exist.
Then you can't make that statement either.
I didn't make that statement.
Well,
you're the one making that statement.
In order to
you're saying this thing always existed and never didn't exist, right? This God has always existed.
And also, this is an internal critique where, again, your worldview would have to say that knowledge is not possible.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
You're doing an internal critique because you have to. Because under my worldview,
no,
we can
all
have
I'm
knowledge.
Doing. Okay.
But under your worldview, we can't have knowledge. That's a major problem, my friend.
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you're saying that without having an underlying God that lays the foundation for you, you can have no foundation. That's your argument in a nutshell, right? Without the underlying God laying your foundation, you cannot have a foundation.
Yeah, if God doesn't exist, then we can't know anything, right?
Okay. My question is, what made this God, how did this God come to have the power that it has, and what created it?
He always has.
Right there.
It's not logically contradictory in any way.
Show me something that always exists and never decreases, never has a beginning. Okay, see, that's exactly.
No.
Do you see how you're doing?
No, you're saying show me another god.
You're doing a straw man argument there.
No, it's so
You're saying this is
straw
the only
man-
thing that
no.
can have this property,
You're using
and
the
this is the only
term
thing of that
incorrectly there.
property. And there's no way to test this property.
So yeah, so
There's no way
God,
we for
the
what's that?
creator. The creator is not like the creation. It's
Okay,
completely
can
distinct from it.
we verify this God? Can we verify this?
Yes.
How?
By knowing things, because if knowledge is not possible,
So this is your whole argument?
I mean,
Like
it
your
is. You haven't
argument is
defeated
that it is because it is. That's your argument.
No, that's not my argument.
That's literally
My argument is that
boiled
knowledge
down
is
to.
possible, and if you say
Right.
knowledge is not possible, it's a logical contradiction.
Right.
And the only way we
And
can
I'm-
have knowledge is via revelation. And I mean, I
Mhm.
have the syllogism all written out.
I understand. I understand this argument. I hear it all the time. I'm sure you have a fact sheet right in front of you you're reading off of. But my point being
Nothing wrong
is
with
that okay. But my point being is that when I say the scientific method, testing the limits and boundaries of our reality and basing our knowledge off of that is what I go by. And you're saying,
Okay.
nah, it has to be an underlying God.
No, I'm saying that there's no justification for that. That you
I
can't
just
make an
explained how
argument
there's
for it.
justification for that. That's very good
Let's go
justification.
through it. Go ahead and go
Yeah.
do it one more time. I was reading chat. Go through
Okay.
it for me.
Okay. We test the limitations of our reality, right?
Can you
That's
pause
what
for
we
me right
that
there?
and we
'Cause
call
that's
those
right.
the laws of physics, right?
That's your first premise already has an issue.
Okay, what's my issue?
Right. In order to test the limitations of the universe, what do you have to use?
The logic and reasoning.
Okay. How do you know your reasoning is reliable?
Because it's backed by repeatable evidence. Again,
In order
like
to
the 2 plus
observe-
2 is the
in order
sticks.
to reason about that observable
Ah.
evidence, you're assuming that your reasoning is reliable.
So in your reality that without a God, I could take 2 sticks, put them next to 2 other sticks, and it would come out to 5.
No, what I'm saying is that the only reason
No, I
the
explain to
only
me what's different. What's
Well,
changing?
No, I'm saying that a world without God is logically impossible.
I just
reason
that's
that
yeah.
you can take 2 sticks and another 2 sticks and put them together and have 4 sticks is because God exists. Jimmy, absolutely. You were kind of Thank you for talking to me.
I don't
I was talking in
understand
chat.
what you're getting at. You're saying God exists, so the sticks exist. God exists, so what is that? Can you explain more what you mean by that?
Yeah, so the world that we live in is not possible
Mhm.
if God does not exist, especially when you consider
Why?
my argument that
Yeah,
knowledge is
I'm asking you
possible
why without God, why is a God necessary for the world to exist?
because of the possibility of knowledge. In order for you to know
Okay,
the
that
world
doesn't make any
exists-
sense.
in order for you to know that the world exists, you must assume God.
So you're saying consciousness, or you saying
No.
you're not being very clear about what you're getting at here. Because when I say we test the boundaries and limitations of our reality, call those boundaries and limitations the laws of physics. And you say nuh-uh because you wouldn't understand it without the knowledge that God gave you.
One sec.
Right?
Hey, Charlie, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Nothing much. Did you have something you'd like to add to the conversation? Is that why it came up?
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about the Kalam, but this is an interesting conversation to listen to.
Okay, yeah, hang out for a sec.
Yeah. Mark, I just have a question for you real quick.
Yeah.
Is it Mark or Mrak?
It's Mark. It's just the A and the R is
I
switched.
didn't even get
I'm
that.
dyslexic, so I read it right the first time.
The name's always taken.
So, question for you. You're talking about we can know the boundaries of reality, right?
Well, we can test our boundaries, right?
You can
We
test
test
the
our
boundaries.
Right.
Okay. So when you're making any type of knowledge claim,
Mm-hmm.
how do you make knowledge claims in a world without God? How do you make knowledge claims? I'm curious.
Because I'm not seeing this connection between the God and the knowledge. First off, I'm not
Okay.
seeing that connection you're making. But when I say knowledge, I'm talking about the logical reasoning that we have inherently as humans, right? The understanding that we can, the whole two sticks, like, you understand what I'm saying? We understand the way we can see that things repeat, we can test it. That's where I'm coming from with knowledge. I'm not understanding the connection of without this God, you have no knowledge.
Like when you make an observation,
Right, exactly.
okay, and you
Observations,
can you
yes.
see you recognize
Right,
patterns in the world, right?
right,
And then you can use induction, saying, okay, I've squeezed the toothpaste bottle, and every single time I squeeze it, toothpaste comes out, right?
right.
Okay, I guess in a world without God, right? Just because you've seen things happen over and over again and observed certain patterns in the world, what about that makes you think that those will be consistent in the future? For instance, if I drive through a neighborhood and I drive by 50 blue houses, is it certain that the next house I see, the 51st house, will be blue as well?
Well,
Because
no,
this
that's
is this
just
is
probability, though. There's a difference between probability and certainty, right? Because
well,
certainty is if you I was trying to make a connection to the same driving through a neighborhood thing, but I can't make that.
mhm.
But you get what I mean. There's a difference between a certainty and a possibility.
Okay. Even if we put that example aside, I don't want to bicker about that. I guess this is a pretty tough problem. That you know, are you familiar with David Hume, Mark?
I've heard the name, but I'm not sure
Yeah,
what.
very famous 17th century philosopher, atheist, right, during the Enlightenment period. And this is called the problem of induction. That really, in a world without God, it's very hard to solve. Now, this is why this is important, because this is why we're saying we kind of need God here to make a knowledge claim, right? David Hume would say that there's nothing about the empirical world. You know what I mean by the empirical world?
Give me an example of what you
the,
mean by it.
when I say empirical world, the world that you can observe through your five senses, you can taste it, smell it,
Okay,
touch it, right?
all right,
There's nothing about the world within itself. That's an important concept. There's nothing about the world within itself that tells us that the future will be like the past. It's actually an assumption that we make in our minds, and we make that assumption in our minds. There's nothing about the world that tells us that, right? And so, is it fair to make that assumption in your mind? David Hume argues no. It's arbitrary. It's we don't have a reason why we do it. We just do it. We do it because it happens to work.
right, right,
But that's not that really skirts the issue. It's not that he knows that the future will be like the past. He just does it because he kind of has to by practical necessity to make the knowledge claim. So this is a huge problem in atheism. It's called well, we would say it's like you can't account for the uniformity of nature, right? And so that's why we would say that knowledge claims scientifically are very, very tricky to pin down and say, I absolutely know the future is going to be like the past, unless we presuppose that there's a God that has established laws of nature and upholds them consistently every single day. So when Wi-Fi Gospel is saying, "Hey, you know, we need to presuppose God, or we need to assume God exists in order to know anything," there would be one example. That's just one example. That's the uniformity of nature example. You could also use that for morality. There's other transcendental categories that we could look at, such as identity over time, which is a really, really big one, right? For instance, you would say that do you have a dog by chance, Mark?
I have a dog. Yeah,
Do
I do
you
have
have
a
a
dog.
dog or a pet?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So this is really interesting, and this is something that even Aristotle brought up back in the day, back in the BC, bruh. This is what he did, right? So he would say that your dog, and I don't mean to hijack your
No,
you're live here.
You're totally fine. I am gonna have to wrap the conversation up between you guys in like 2 minutes. I'm
Okay.
supposed to
Oh,
go
go
at
ahead.
12, but
Well,
I want to talk to you, Charlie, and
I'll-
then we're not gonna.
I won't go into that. I'll just back off. But Mark, does that maybe clear some things up or anything? Or what
I
are your
mean,
thoughts?
I respect the position you're coming from. I obviously host wants to get things wrapped up. So I'll just say I respect the position you're coming from, but I do have qualms with it. I don't. I when it comes to the aspect of the whole uniformity in nature idea,
Mhm.
I definitely see where that comes from, but I don't see that has to reach um a supernatural state requirement. I just I think that comes. I think there's a lot of God of the gaps going on where you know. What I mean, I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. God of the
Mhm.
gaps. You know the whole You know, like Newton with gravity, he couldn't explain it. God, and then we go later and we get science involved. But like I respect the position, but I still hold qualms with it. I don't want to hold up the guys the host's time either, and
I appreciate you coming
I'll
up. I'd
drop
love
down.
for you to.
I'll listen to you guys have a conversation for a little bit, anyways.
I'm live Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday now around the same time. If you ever want to come back up,
Oh, it's all good, bro. You guys have a great night.
you too, brother.
Take care,
Good
Mark.
night. What's up? So I don't really. I couldn't even steelman the Kalam cosmological argument.
Yeah, the only Craig likes to use it a lot. You know, William, right?
Yep.
And the only thing, dude, I think that it's a good argument in the sense that, well, you were saying that, and you know Darth Dawkins.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily use the Kalam either, and I think that he thinks the same problem that you were saying. Like, you could special plead, like if you said, "Hey, God always was there or was never created. God was eternal." Then the atheist could say, "Well, the universe was eternal, right?" But if you're saying the universe, doesn't the universe entail that it has certain properties like space and time, whereas God, by definition, doesn't necessarily he's not necessarily restricted by those properties. So it's not necessarily special pleading. In addition to that, if the universe was eternal, how can you can't actualize an infinity? It can be potentially true, but it's not ever like there'll never be infinity of anything going back into the past as far as time goes. There'll be an infinite future that we'll never reach the end of, but it'll never be actualized. Like we'll never reach the end of heaven. We'll never reach an infinity in real life. It's potentially true. It's a potential that we'll never get to. And so the same thing in the past too. So if you said the universe was always there, this is a brain twister. Tell me if you think this is true. If the universe was always eternal, if it always was, then there would be a point in time that we could think about that we could never get to, given we had a time machine. You could there be a time that existed that was infinity ago? No. If that's the case, then there'd be a time we could conceive of that we could never get to, no matter how fast our time machine traveled in the past, which seems to be self-contradictory and doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I only use that to make a point, but you're right. I shouldn't clown on an argument that I can't even steelman.
Oh well. I mean, dude. I'm tag all day, dude.
Yeah.
But
I do. There's so much to learn that I always say I want to look into that more, and then it's added to a list of a million things.
Sure.
But it is interesting. Definitely interesting.
Yeah. Well, I see you on here a lot, man. You got the tenacity to get up on here almost more often than I do to lead these discussions. I think they're good discussions. So
this week I've been the most consistent. This will be my third time being live this week, so
nice.
I'm going to try to do that. It's only for about 2 hours at a time.
Sure.
I work full time, got a wife, 3 kids. She runs a business when I'm not at work,
Mm.
and so schedule's nuts. And
No, man,
then
good for
Joel
you,
makes me stay up real late with him on Monday nights, and then I'm tired for the rest of the week. But it's all right. I love you, Joel.
Sure.
And then so Tuesday and Thursday I try to keep it till midnight, which is right about now, and then
Yeah.
get a decent amount of sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really appreciate. I always see you in here. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the
Sure,
stream.
man.
Thank you.
Well, you have a good night, man, and God
Yeah.
bless. Okay.
Come up anytime. I'll bring you right up, and,
Sure.
and we can hang out.
Thanks,
Have a good
Wi-Fi.
night,
Take
bro.
care, man.
God bless.
All right, bye.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Hey.
That sucks. That's a bummer. Whatever. But
Talking
I
to
wanted
me?
him to stay. No. You're fine. I
Alright,
wanted him
alright.
to stay, which is kind of a bummer, but
Oh,
it's
to
fine.
Charlie.
Yeah. So there's a few things we could go from here. I normally go 3 ways.
I don't have a lot of time. Just I was supposed to get off 5 minutes ago, but I can give you 10
Yeah,
minutes.
we go super quickly.
Cool.
So I normally go 3 ways. Normally I just do a little like questions to see where we're standing with, but we'll skip that one. So I think there's reason why I'm an atheist, and then there's reasons why I think the arguments you guys made didn't work. The first one is the one you mentioned with the dude that first came up is epistemological circularity. Religion doesn't solve this issue. God doesn't solve this issue. The issue of knowledge is there's something very interesting about epistemology and ontology, which is you can define anything into reality and you can remove anything from reality. The thing that he brought up, which is Hume's problem of induction, God doesn't solve this one either. It's true for God as well. Even if God existed, if you go into a town that has 10 blue houses, there's absolutely no reason that the town will continue to exist or there'll be an 11th blue house. God doesn't solve this issue. So it's not just an issue for atheists. It's also
You're
a
throwing
problem.
out a lot of different objections right now. Could we stick to
Yeah.
knowledge? Because that's
Sure.
where I'm
Yeah.
strongest. That's where I spend most of my time.
Sure. So the knowledge thing is just epistemological circularity. There's no way to. I'd like to use gold box conjecture. All knowledge is based on systems of logic. So law of identity, law of non-contradiction, all of those. God just kind of blows us out the water because those laws wouldn't even exist with God, which is why it's considered special pleading when you make most arguments for God because logic doesn't apply to him. So that's number one. The number two thing is there are some truth claims that can be made inside a system of logic that can't be proved using that system of logic. So one of them is called gold box conjecture. This is a really famous math one that all numbers above 2 are the sum of 2 prime numbers. There's no mathematical proof for it inside of the logical system of math, but it seems to be true no matter what number you go to. So those are 2 issues. We have epistemological
So,
circularity.
With
Yep.
epistemological circularity, you're saying that all systems have some level of circularity. Some people call it benign. Some people call it virtuous or non-vicious. Is that what you're getting at?
Axiomatic. You have to define things into reality to make a system of logic, to have an epistemological system. And there's no way to escape it.
Yeah.
Religion doesn't escape it, and neither does atheism.
Yeah, that's fine. But how does any of that give you certainty?
That's literally the problem of epistemological circularity.
No.
Certainty.
Because if God reveals things to us, we can be certain about them.
No, you can't.
We can't be
How
certain.
how are you revealed things by God? Like, how does he reveal those things to you?
General and special revelation. So
Yeah, how do you experience revelation?
God makes us know things.
How do you know those things?
That God makes us know things.
No. Like, how do you know those things? Why doesn't someone else know those things? If you get revelation, and someone else-
So, for example, the fact that God exists, that's general
Yes.
revelation. He makes us know it.
yeah, like, did you get that revelation to you? I didn't get that revelation.
You did. You're just denying it.
Yeah, but how would I get that revelation? Like,
Through
how do we validate
intuition
that?
and creation.
Would you say through sense?
Well, no, not general revelation.
So how do you conceptualize the world?
So you're saying it's impossible for God to make us know things.
No, I'm saying it's impossible to escape a system of epistemological circularity. God doesn't solve
Can
that
God
issue.
make us know things?
I don't know what you mean by know things.
Come on, dude.
It's the problem of epistemological
No,
circularity.
it's not. Can God make us know things?
When you say know things, you're not talking about a system.
You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, it's called
Can God
this is
make
very
us know
confusing.
things?
It's a very
You're
famous
not
problem.
answering the question.
It
I
depends on what you
understand
need
it.
to know.
But even if I grant you that you can have,
Yeah.
that you can, for example, with your senses, even if I grant you the benign circularity of knowing your senses are reliable, you still can't have certainty.
No, I'm saying that's a problem with epistemology. You have
I
to
know.
validate some things
So-
unjustified.
We're going to move past the question I asked you because it doesn't seem like you want to answer it.
I did answer it.
Okay. We're going to move
Yeah.
past it.
Okay.
What gives you certainty inside of your epistemology?
There is no. That's not a thing. So, like I said, it's systems of logic.
So you can't be certain about anything.
I don't know what you mean by certain in this case. Like math is a system
all
of
right,
logic.
I need to say this because this is what happens when you talk to the Phil bros. You have to bicker about every single definition, and you can't concede a common ground definition. We all know what we're talking about here.
We can use a system in math. That's very common. We all know one
so
plus like,
can you
one
be
equals
certain?
one.
Like, do I have to define certainty, or can you just use a common
Mathematical
ground?
proofs exist. Mathematical proofs exist. That's a certainty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can be 100% certain about it. You could not be
Mathematical
wrong about
proofs.
it.
Yeah. Those are systems of logic based on axioms and tautology. Yes.
There's absolutely no way you could be wrong about it.
Yeah, they're tautological truths.
Didn't you just say that it was based on axioms?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
tautologies.
Could you be wrong about your axioms?
They're presupposed.
Yes. Could you be wrong about your presuppositions?
That's not a thing that I know about. No, as far as I understand how philosophy works,
Yeah.
you can't
Okay.
be wrong about other presuppositions.
All right. So I presuppose God exists, and I can't be wrong about it.
And then I presuppose God doesn't exist, and I can't be wrong about it.
All right.
We get 10.
Jeez.
Yeah. So this is why I go
This is
for the
Jesus
I
Christ
don't
or
believe-
absurdity. That's what that was.
So, well, I try to explain it through math, but we could go through math. We can go through different ways. But the reason I don't believe in God, and this is, I think, the reason most people is for two big things. I can't believe in something I don't know, which is one of them. So one of the big ones is the resurrection.
can't know
of Jesus
anything.
Christ. Well, I could explain to you what I mean by that. So miracles, by definition, are things you can't know, even within a religious system. So we can agree that 100 years ago, lightning wasn't a miracle,
So
right?
God can't know. God can't make us know miracles.
Yeah, by definition of miracles. Yeah. Yeah, so like we can agree 100 years ago, lightning wasn't a miracle, right?
Lightning is not a miracle, right?
Yeah, and like 100 years ago, or like let's say 1,000 years ago,
But
when we
just
didn't
because
know what
people
lightning was.
believed they were miracles, is this where you're getting at?
Yeah, so by definition, they weren't miracles. They had a natural
Okay.
explanation.
So
right?
some people had false beliefs.
True, yeah, but miracles by definition are unknowable. Yeah.
Okay.
So I
we
don't
can't know
believe in
anything
miracles.
according to you. So.
Yeah, but even in a system of religion, you can't know.
Oh no!
miracles
Wait!
are.
No! Wait! I can know miracles because I just presuppose them.
That's you presuppose them off of what?
I just presuppose them. There's no way I can't know my presuppositions, is what you said earlier.
Yeah, but then that conflicts with believing in miracle and
But
divine.
I also presuppose that it doesn't conflict.
Well, then you're ruining your tautology.
No, I'm doing what your worldview is doing.
I haven't
which is
given my
100%.
word yet. I just said I don't believe in
What's up,
God.
Spicy? How you doing, brother?
But
Yeah, I
we can go.
think
Like,
this is-
I'm willing to go through all of them. I think
I'm
the
not. It's late.
miracle-
I don't think you've given a coherent epistemology. You've just stated that you have one.
I didn't say I even had one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No.
you didn't ask for one. Do you want to hear
I
my?
literally did.
You want to hear my epistemology?
I don't because it's late. Like I said, I could give you 10 minutes, but it's already there.
Just really quickly, can I hear what a miracle could be explained by? Like, how would you explain a miracle?
You can come up another time. We can have another discussion, but I am going to bed.
Okay.
But you can go back on YouTube and see where I did ask you for that.
No, but could you explain a miracle?
I
Like,
just
how would you
presuppose
explain a
them.
miracle? That's not an explanation for what it is.
I know.
Yeah. Like, they're
Again,
by definition magic, right?
This is why we were gonna stick to knowledge.
Yeah, you can stick
Yeah.
to knowledge. You can't know what a miracle
Listen.
is.
I'm going to bed. I gave you 10 minutes, even though I was 10 minutes past my bedtime. But yeah, come up another time. We can have another discussion. Have a good night, brother.
Yep.
Thank you guys for coming by. I appreciate you hanging out. Good night, Spicy. I really dislike those conversations. When you can't even. I don't know what you mean by no. I just don't know. Such bad faith. But I'll talk to you again, Wananka. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays around the same time. I usually start around 10 p.m. Eastern time, but on Mondays it's 11. Thank you guys for popping by the stream. I appreciate all of you. H-Town, if you come back up next time, I'll put you to the front of the queue because you were in here waiting for a while. Have a good night, guys. Bye. ALC. Yeah, he's dishonest, is what he is. You can always tell when it's going to be a conversation like that. I had 2 of them last stream, and it was awful. But they end up saying, it's funny. They end up using the presuppositional argument as an atheist. That's the best part. Like, he literally just said, you can't be wrong about your presuppositions. What? Sheesh. That was wild. You know, I'll give it to him. He was nicer than the other 2 conversations I had that went that way. Musashi, good night. Thank you for stopping by. The other stream, so I had 2. I had TikTok. I had TikTok and I have 2 YouTube streams going. One of them is vertical, like TikTok, and the other one is horizontal. I've been trying to figure out the best way to do it, but that seems to get me more viewers, so whatever works, right? Although TikTok has been slacking. Horizontal stream. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for the likes. So see, the horizontal stream just went down. You're in the vertical stream, I think. Oh no, you're in the... Oh, I didn't close the stream out.